Hey everyone, this is Cindy. This is I Am the Open Door. Based on my computer, I am speaking at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 3rd, 2025. We've entitled this hour Where the Rubber Meets the Road, and it's where we take a thought or a teaching or a pointing from A Course in Miracles and we look at how we can use it in our day-to-day experience. So what I am guided to do is first say I love us very much. Thank you so much for being here. I am guided to read the pointing, then play the song, and then I have just a little bit of a sharing. It's interesting. It took me a number of days and quite a bit before it dropped how I wanted to share on this teaching. It won't take long, and then we'll open it up for conversation. So I'll read it, play a song, read it again, share, open. Unless, of course, something else happens, which is always a possibility. So here we go. Reality can dawn only in an unclouded mind. It is always there to be accepted, but its acceptance depends on your willingness to have it. To know reality must involve the willingness to judge unreality for what it is. This is the right use of selective perception. To overlook nothingness is merely to judge it correctly, and because of your ability to evaluate it truly, to let it go. Knowledge cannot dawn on a mind full of illusions, because truth and illusions are irreconcilable. Truth is whole and cannot be known by part of a mind. So I'm going to play the song. I just added it to an Open Doors playlist. It is actually the same song I opened the Awakening Together gathering with. And there had been a resistance originally when this song came up for me to play. And then I watched this video. So there is an invitation for you not only listen to the words, but really watch the video. And not only that, I'm going to tell you what to watch for, and I'm even going to tell you why. This video shows a whole bunch of photographs, and they begin with when the performers, One Direction, it's a story of your life, of my life, was young, and it shows them frozen in the past.
Yeah.
And then there's this experience of photos of those beings in the present. And in the end, the beings in the photographs become alive, and people are now interacting with their brothers, their sisters, their parents in the present moment without hanging on to who they were 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. It's all about being in the flow. And I'm also inspired to tell you, I sat with this teaching over and over and over again. And for me, right now, the way it's alive for me, and again, I invite you to watch the video of this song, in the song, is what parts of me, of Cindy, have I objectified? What parts of your life have you objectified? Or even still, when you look at another, when you look at me, do you know me, or do you know the object, the story, what your mind is telling you I am based on our interaction? The thing is, as long as I have objectified any aspect of my life, we can talk about what that means if anyone wants to, but if I have objectified this memory, and I could tell that I have because certain memories come up to be reviewed and released, right? If these memories are coming up and all the emotion, the stories associated with these memories keep coming up, and I keep stating I am part of that memory, then objectifying that aspect of this self keeps me from being fully present with whatever is here right now. Seems for me anyway that it blocks the flow. And furthermore, I guess I'm doing the part of the teaching that's so alive for me before I play the song. This idea of a clouded mind, looking at it. The clouds are nothing other than these selfies. I think it was Deepak Chopra that was talking about the fact that we are the flow. We are the flow. And yet some part of this mind keeps taking snapshots, selfies, and saying, this is who I am, this is who I am, this is who I am. And what if those snapshots of the past are what clouds the mind? And to know the truth, we just have to let those snapshots go. And we don't push those clouds away. We don't have to push those selfies away. We just have to leave them be and be here now. Just be with whatever this moment's experience is now, and watch any sense of wanting to identify as that. The moment we identify as whatever's going on here now, looking at whether or not that means that in that moment I've created another snapshot that limits the flow of life. All right, so I do invite everybody to keep your eyes open and watch the video. And I'm putting things on pause. And for anyone who's watching the replay later, I invite you to watch the video too. It's in the YouTube and Open Door playlist. It's the story of your life. So let me put this on pause. Okay, so let me read this again. Speak for just a few minutes and then open it up. Reality can dawn only in an unclouded mind. Didn't even notice they were singing about clouds till just now. It is always there to be accepted, but its acceptance depends on your willingness to have it. To know reality must involve the willingness to judge unreality for what it is. This is the right use of selective perception. To overlook nothingness is merely to judge it correctly. And because of your ability to evaluate it truly, to let it go. Knowledge cannot dawn on a mind full of illusions, because truth and illusions are irreconcilable. Truth is whole and cannot be known by part of a mind. As I continue to just sit and ask for the teaching here, what dawned just a little bit ago was simply this, this our interpretation or our belief that we are our story and our past creates these blocks in the flow of being here now. And it was Deepak Chopra that identified it as a whole bunch of selfies, just a whole bunch of selfies. And so there's this sense that as long as I believe I am who I was, then there's no way for me to be fully present with what is in this present moment. And there's no way for me to connect honestly with you. Everything becomes a interpretation of movement of the flow of life that's happening in this moment, becomes distorted by the clouds, which are all of our beliefs of who we are based on our interpretation of who we were and what that means about who we will become. It's also part of a basic Course in Miracles teaching how the ego cannot land in the present moment. It always feeds off the past and uses that to project into a future. the other part of this is if I choose, and I do with all of my heart, I want to be able to connect with everyone and everything in my world. And I recognize that on some level. I recognize in it, and it's that I more and more I'm able to be with Sarah and Emma when they're in my place and know them as who they are, as a almost 28-year-old and a 26-year-old, and the willingness to let go, not let go of the memories, but let go of the identification as who they are now based on who they were then. It's painful now when I see that happening here. And the moment I see it, I could just rest into that. And the story part of it goes, and the frozen energy, because that's what it feels like too. And that's why this song, more and more every time I sit with this video, it cracks something else open, this idea that I'm frozen in time. I'm frozen in time. These pieces that I haven't been able to fully taste. Jim Self talked about, anything that I wasn't able to fully experience in the past, the universe said, okay, but it didn't just go away. I stuffed it in a backpack. And so even though I couldn't see it, it was still coloring my experience of what's happening now. And it creates a distortion of the present moment. And the other part of this teaching, and it's a very live experience for me here and now, is I can't push the clouds away, right? I can't force this to happen. What I can do is allow myself to just be here now, allow whatever's coming up, the memories, the feelings, the intensity of sensations, and accept the present moment. And when I accept it, and this is Michael Singer too, I've been having these experiences, this intense sensation in the heart, I'm no longer trying to get rid of it. I recognize it. Michael called it a sanskara. This is just old, congealed density coming up. And if I just rest around it and stay present with it and stay in the experience of who I am right now, it dissolves and the flow returns, the flow of life. To say I am grateful to sit with, being with what was given to us to share today is an understatement. It wasn't a struggle, but it also wasn't easy. It didn't come to me naturally. I sat with it over and over and waited for the teaching, and this is what came from me anyway. And with that being said, it's usually Andrew that raises his hand first in this meeting, but I did get a message from Andrew, and his wife had surgery last week, and he's taking her back to the doctor this week. So he connected, and Rana had an appointment too, so that's why she's not here. I'm opening it up. Be fun to see what happens. Hey, David.
Good morning, everybody. I was, when you start talking about snapshots, and one of the things came to mind, Will, is that I take snapshots of what I consider the good stuff because I'm afraid they won't last. I'm afraid I'll lose them, and so it's like it's like clinging. I'm clinging to these good things because I think, well, this good stuff doesn't come around very often, so I had to hang on to it with all I can. But then what I'm thinking is because I'm a snapshot taker, I also take snapshots of the bad stuff and the stuff and this bad stuff seems to last forever. I mean, it's like, why can't I get rid of the bad stuff and why can't I hang on to the good stuff? Well, that's a paradox in itself. And one of the things I know I'm going to talk a lot, but one of the things that happened this morning in my morning meeting is I sit next to a person. He has the same name as I do. I'm David and he's Dave, but that's all I'm going to say about that. But this person had an anniversary today. And so and so the people in the meeting that know him pretty well brought him a big happy birthday balloon, and which was, great. And everybody was cheering and go nuts. But when they brought the balloon in, and he always sits by me, or and so they clipped the big balloon onto the back of the chair that he would probably be sitting in. And so the first thing that came to mind was, where's my balloon? And I kind of made a little joke about that to the person who hanging the balloon on there, but really I meant it. I mean, it's like, how come he gets a balloon and I don't? And what happened is, immediately when I saw that balloon, all these bad snapshots that I've taken back in the past, I think this one's probably a third or fourth grade thing that popped up, and a million snapshots since then that had the same thought pattern. Is like, well, nobody notices me. I'm invisible and I don't get any recognition. And so where's my recognition? And so that was a great lesson that I learned this morning, because and then I said, I when we went around and talked, I talked about that, and everybody was like, oh my God, you really thought that? And then I kept talking, and then somebody made a joke about it, and then we all had a great laugh it wasn't at my expense. It was with me, that how insane that was to feel that way. And I laughed along with everybody. And so that was a really good thing. And then here you are talking about the same thing that I already started thinking and doing today. And it's like, okay, I can't wait till the next Zoom I have this afternoon or something. And it's going to, they'll probably be talking about the same thing. And so what a great day. So far it's only noon, and I've already had like a years of goodness. So I really am happy about what's happening today, that I'm letting happen, and I'm maybe being a little bit of the cause to what's happening. So thank you for listening.
Thank you for sharing. And you didn't talk a lot. It was divinely shared. And I know you're a student of Byron Katie. And so it's her voice that always reminds me that none of these thoughts or feelings are personal. They're as old as time, right? It's almost like they were embedded in the human condition from the moment. And it feels like you shared that, this idea of being able to bring this thought that feels so personal to a group of people, and then recognizing, oh, it's not mine. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Hey, Livy.
Hey, everybody. I'm eating. I have to leave shortly after this. I hope there's no green in my teeth. I would love to hear the Michael Singer teaching. I had a pretty intense experience yesterday. I had, and I'm not here to talk politics. I had, I think Saturday, just sort of, I heard people talking about the Zelensky incident. And I just sort of, out of curiosity or whatever, I was on YouTube and clicked on a video or something and I just saw just a snippet of it. And I had this really intense visceral reaction when I saw it. And at that time I was like, I need to change this feeling. I need to change this feeling. And to sort of back up a little bit, I've been experiencing really intense anxiety, the highest I've experienced in a while over the past, few weeks, and just being willing to stay uncomfortable. And it could be really distracting at times. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to stay with this. So then back to yesterday. So yesterday I was, just something else came up inadvertently that I didn't know was going to happen, that showed another snippet of it. And that visceral reaction came up, and I sat down and I said, I got to see what this feeling is about. And I started writing, and I realized that the visceral response was related to verbal and emotional abuse that I had experienced, with my mother, and then in my first marriage, which also included some physical abuse. And the visceral reaction I related to feelings of helplessness, of, relating, thinking, I put myself in Zelensky's, experience and made it my experience of a child and then into the first marriage. And once I realized that, I just had some really primal, a primal physical emoting of a lot of stuffed emotions, like decades in my body. And I called, which was wonderful. I needed to do that. And I called, Rana afterwards, and it was, I was relating it more with an inner child and holding her and allowing her to emote the deep hurt and fear and shame, just a lot of shame. And I started, praying, please heal these shame thoughts. Please heal my thoughts of shame, my feelings of shame. And it turned out to be a really healing experience. And, I would love to hear the Michael Singer teaching to relate, to let go of the story that's attached to such a primal experience of emoting of emotions that really was so healing and truly wonderful. And to understand that whatever energy is in my body that becomes so intense and is ready to be released, I don't have to try to put a story to it or, go into some heavy duty thought about it. So anyway, it was just a really powerful experience of just allowing myself to feel without getting into the story and trying to diagnose and get into the story, but just allowed myself to have such a primal experience. And I'm grateful for the technique of screaming into something.
So, I got a couple things to say. The first is it was a beautiful demonstration of the teachings, which state, Richard's going like this. In my head, I had this idea that Richard knows what I'm about to say. So again, storytelling, right? The only purpose of the world, it's a projection of what we're holding inside. And when we use it that way, the world comes, it hits our stuff. We allow the stuff to explode without giving a present day story, and it heals. And you just demonstrated that. So that's the first thing I want to say. It was a gorgeous demonstration, by the way. The second is, and I'll talk about listening to Michael Singer, but I have this desire to say to you, be very careful about thinking you don't know what to do. Or that since I still have negative stuff coming up, I'm not getting it right. I've been telling people lately, I'm on the 1,000-year plan. And there's a line in the course that states infinite patience leads to immediate results. The ego mind will say, I did it once, it felt good in the moment, but here I am feeling contracted again. It must not have worked. Let me look for something else. Or somebody has something I have. That's not the way this works. We meet whatever's going on in the present moment. You beautifully demonstrated that you have a good sense of what to do. So don't let the ego mind tell you that you're failing because it still hurts.
Mhm.
Infinite patience, right? Number three, all of Michael Singer's teachings are the same. So it almost doesn't matter which podcast you listen to if you want to just listen to any of them. The core teaching is in the book, The Untethered Soul. If you have access to Audible, there
I have
is,
a book actually.
right, but if you have access to Audible, in Audible, there's a program called Living the Untethered Soul. It's
Oh,
like 20 hours of Michael Singer, and he goes through all of this ad nauseum. And it's a great thing to listen to when you're walking around place.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank y'all for being here for me to share that with. I
Oh,
appreciate
it was a stunning teaching, Livy, and don't let any part of your mind tell you otherwise.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Right, who's next? Richard.
Morning, everyone. Great share, Libby. It reminded me, and the paragraph that you read also reminded me that whenever we experience anything other than love or peace in our present moment, we can then take that to the Holy Spirit. But we first have to leave the illusion and choose to be in the right mind and then seek into the stillness. Once we're in the stillness, we can then ask for guidance. And that the guidance will come in many forms. But what it basically does, as I believe the Course teaches, is repurpose the experience we had or having. Levy just gave a great example of that. Repurposing what she thought was a judgment about the dream, she realized the dream was not real, but her experience earlier in her life as a separate self was real and for her, and she was projecting that out on the world and then experiencing it again. But she realized it was about her healing, her mind, and not about the outer world changing or being different than it is. And so I know after I read the paragraph you recommended for today, I also read the entire section. And there's since the fact that we made the dream they were experiencing, and our beliefs and our beliefs in our conditioned mind choose for the perception of what we see in the world, whatever we experience. Our conditioned mind and the self that we believe we are judges what we're experiencing. That's our perception. And what I believe we're trying to do is rise above that and heal our minds with respect to getting back into the right mind. So paragraph 5 of the same section, about midway through, let me pull it up here. It says, what you have made is so unworthy of you that you can hardly want it. If you are willing to see it as it is, you will see nothing at all, and your vision will automatically look beyond it to what is in you and all around you. Reality cannot break through the obstruction you interpose, but it will envelop you completely when you let them go. So, which also reminds me that you're either in the ego mind or the right mind. If you're experiencing anything other than love or peace, you're in the wrong mind. So, love you all. Well, motivated to share that.
And I feel blessed to have received it. Thank you for being here. Hey, Barbie.
Yeah, can you explain to me what objectified means?
Make it an object, solid.
So how do we objectify ourselves?
Well, if you have a picture in your mind that says, I am 48 years old, and my body is this, and I am in the body is an object. The moment you say I am whatever the body is, when you look at a picture like that video, you know, you continually wish that life was the way it was when you were 10. You've created this image that you have of when you were 10, and you created this little solid nugget that sits, and you're viewing everything through this desire to go back then. It's like creating a solid object in your present moment flow. And when it's there, when you're holding this space of wishing things were the way they were when you were 10, you're not being fully present with whatever's going on now, because it's like you're looking through a dirty window. Does that make sense?
Okay, thanks. So then, so instead of just remembering the past, I want the past to be real.
Well, you're making, it's not whether it's, you either want it to be real or you're pushing away from it. But if you're giving it energy and saying, I am still who I was when I'm 10, you're holding a piece of who you are now in a belief about a past. And it's creating a distortion in the present moment. You're identifying with something other than simply being what is.
So then I'm really not growing if I keep identifying with the past.
Well, the aspect that is stuck in the past is not changing. It's solid. But who you are doesn't need growth. Like this is where we always get a little caught up. It's, to me, I loved somehow these moments, I keep calling them crystallized kidney stones, right? And so there's a flow of fluid that moves through the body. And every time something occurs in the Cindy story and I grab hold on it and I say, this is who I am, I don't ever want this to happen again, or I wish it would happen all the time. It's like I've taken part of the flow and made it solid, and it's solid, and it's now in the flow, and it's creating a distortion in the flow.
Well, so if I'm riding the river, the flow, I'm stuck there because I won't allow whatever to pass so I can get through.
At some point, you realize that you are the river.
Yeah, I
Well,
realize.
but that's the,
Yeah.
so when you say I'm riding the river, you've objectified yourself as something outside of the river.
Okay, so I am the river, but the boulder is holding me up and I have to learn how to get through it.
Just rest, no, because if you are the river, there's nothing holding.
Okay, I got it. Words are getting in my way.
The key for me is experience, actually. Sitting, I sit in this present moment and somebody says something or something happens or the dog barks, and instead of just responding to it as if I'm like a Byron Katie going, oh, look at that, I fell, how wonderful, the floor hit me. There's something that rises in me like, shit, will this ever change? And can I ever get it right? No matter what I do, like all of that activates. What's activating is the solid stuff from my past. And in that moment, I can rest around it and let it dissolve, or I can identify with it.
Okay, I understand that because that's what I do, but sometimes, like the past, some of the past, like you say, I objectified and I can't get rid of it. But that's what I got to work on.
Or rest around it. The teaching, you can't push the clouds away. You could just
Yeah,
withdraw
I
your
know.
energy from it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Hey, Richard.
I'm also finding out that I can love everything. And so if I'm willing to realize, really in my mind, that I don't exist in reality, and that the dream doesn't exist in reality, I can still love the dream, even though I know it's not real. So, as a matter of fact, I have to love the dream, even though I know it's not real, regardless of what's appearing in the present moment. It's when I judge the present moment that as good or bad, that I'm falling back into the separate self, the belief of the separate self. But if I'm really willing to surrender the separate self as unreal, then anything the separate self experiences as a separate self is unreal. So I can love it. I can realize that it's all unreal. My only function is to love everything, regardless of what's coming up in the present moment. It could be pleasurable. It could be a pleasant memory or unpleasant memory. It could be something that I'm dealing with right now in terms of what some people did or said, or but it doesn't matter. It's all unreal. So the only thing is real is oneness and love. So if I can love everything, I can be one with everything and recognize my oneness with everything, whether it be another body, another object, another thought, another memory, some future I want to make as a separate self. I love it all. So, like Andego says all the time, regardless of what's happening in her present moment, she's in love with it. I think that's a way I'm going to continue to work on. Rather than try to judge this is bad or this is good, I need to get rid of this, or I need to get rid of that. No, just embrace everything, whatever it is in the present moment, and realize if it's anything other than love, it's a misperception on your part. And you're willing to have your mind heal so that you can experience love again.
Thank you. Who's next? Sandra.
Good morning, everybody. Once again, I'm going to say stuff that I don't know what I'm saying, but here it goes. I love this paragraph. I love the way you connected it to our past stories, Cindy. And I find that I'm more and more able to live in the present moment, more and more able to detach with love from the person, the personality, and really detach with love even from with my family and loved ones. And detach with love, just detach from the happenings. There's a lot of happenings. Bombarded with happenings. And there's like this little disturbance in me right now, because although I'm able to live in the moment and I'm not really judging in the way I used to, there's still discernment. There's discernment. And I love the way Helen Hamilton has taught us. She doesn't really use the terms real and not real, at least the way I understood her. She was using the terms, the illusion doesn't mean that it isn't happening. The illusion means I have the wrong interpretation of what's happening. So it's not the wrong interpretation. I have a very biased interpretation based upon my experiences and my conditioning. So where I'm going with this, I felt this necessary prelude. When something's happening in the present moment, as Livy described, and there is a very natural revulsion to watching someone being bullied, I don't want to say, oh, it's not real. What I want to do is detach with love for all parties, and recognize that I've been giving this experience and this opportunity. I've been given emotions, a mind, an opportunity to have experience in this physical world. And there's something in me that no longer wants to separate from it. That's like another kind of separation. It's all one thing. It's so hard to describe what I'm saying. What I really want to say is that I'm finding that I don't want to call these emotions inappropriate because I can somehow spiritually bypass them. Feeling them feels appropriate and right. However, I can see it and interpret it and perceive it differently. I can have love for all parties. I can have love for the bully and the victim. But there's still bullying going on. I mean, to deny that feels like to deny life.
So can I just ask you, where did you see denial of it? Because I didn't, in Livy's story,
I
I
wasn't
didn't.
saying you were denying or anybody.
No, but in
denying.
Livy's story.
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is what's happening in the now moment is many times a reflection of my conditioning and my perception. But sometimes it's just discernment as to what's happening right now. And it's not about me projecting the word bullying onto it, that it is actually happening. And I don't know.
So
Does anybody understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I'd like to respond based on what I'm learning from the guides, if that's
Okay.
What the guides are teaching me is that that we are being called in service to help change the consciousness of the world, right? That there is everything that you're saying. And they're teaching me that the way to do that is to allow for an inner transformation so that I can hold a vibration without fear. And when I can hold a vibration without fear, I can rise above it and then allow whatever action is to come through me to help change a world that is filled with fear. But that can't be done from the same vibration that is being experienced. So when the world is happening and it is creating these intense emotions in me, which all taste like fear to me, they all feel like I need to defend and attack something, and I feel disempowered. There is this understanding that I can allow the inner unfolding to release that, and then my vibration comes up. And from that space, I can be a presence to allow more of love to replace the fear that is so obviously in the world. But I can't do it from the fear. I just feel stuck and paralyzed and in pain.
I completely agree with that. Completely. So what I was talking about is not reacting from fear. In fact, it's so interesting you mentioned that because I just finished the chapter on love and understanding. I'm still in book 1. I'm slower than you, but I'm in this book. I just finished the chapter on love and understanding about raising the vibrational frequency. And that's exactly, I mean, it so resonates with me. That's what I do here in my home. That's what I do before I go out into the world. I make sure that I'm where I'm supposed to be, I guess is how I'll put it. And even here, that's not what I was talking about. What I was talking about is viewing a situation the way it's happening right in the moment and bringing love to that situation, and even if I'm sitting here in my house and there's nobody around, bringing it to myself and seeing it clearly without the clouds. And seeing that when there's conflict, everyone is in pain. It's not just one or another.
Right.
And
But you
I
have to
guess
be
what
a certain, you have to be at a certain vibrational level to do that.
yes.
So Livy's story is a great example. She wasn't able to do that. So she needed to do the inner work to rise up, to let what was going on release so that she could step into what you're talking about.
I understand. But I was talking about where I am right now, not in response to other people.
So where was the disturbance though? That's
there wasn't a disturbance. It was an urge to explain for some reason. I don't know what reason, but there was an urge to explain that in order to contribute in some way, like you started with the guide saying we need to contribute with our vibrational level, there is a recognition of what is happening and that it is happening and that there's healing that needs to be accomplished. And maybe some of it is in me. I mean, maybe I think I'm seeing clearly and I'm not. So there's that investigation, like Livy did, about what is there in me that's reacting this way. And yet, what is happening, regardless of whether Sandra had anything to do with it at all, you know? And so that's it. I can't really explain it any further, but I appreciate you listening and trying to understand.
no, I'm grateful for the conversation.
Yeah, it's yeah, we're living in a world that really requires us to take this all very seriously, our work on ourselves, if we want to make a difference, not only for ourselves and our families, but for the planet we're on. And I understand that responsibility. So reacting with love is always the best. Okay, let me just say one more thing. Maybe what I'm reacting to is if I feel an emotion other than love or peace, maybe sometimes it is appropriate. Because not other than love, but other than peace, because there's something happening that doesn't vibrate with what I know to be true.
Well, yeah, in this space, and my story goes that you agree with this. When I'm experiencing something other than peace, my guidance is to feel it fully and see how it
Yes.
unfolds in me and not pretend that it's not happening.
Yes.
That's the teaching. But to be able to sit and allow it to fully, this is a big Michael Singer teaching for me. He teaches me that I have to be able to take it into the body and fully experience it and not use the mind to rationalize it away or stuff it or do anything else, but to be fully present with whatever's going on in the moment and allow it to inform without judgment somehow.
That helps a lot because what I the experiences I've been having is that it's not either or. Because, we think in this world it's either this or it's that. But I've been able to hold both in the same place. Like I can have love and also not really like what I see happening. And I can still feel the love. So maybe that's the simplest way of putting it. And thank you all. Thank you all very much. I love all of you.
I love us very much. I don't know what we're doing here, but it feels significant and holy. Those are the words that I've been using a lot together, significant and holy, not at all comfortable. It hasn't been comfortable. It's been very raw. Hey, David.
What happened to Richard? I thought he had his hand up. But anyway, do you have anything to say, Richard? Because I know you're going to talk about what I'm going to talk about in a minute. So,
I'm just going to say that whenever I feel anything other than love, it's not about the world being wrong or the world being some way I perceive it. It's about my mind being wrong. So what is it about my thinking that I need to change to return to peace and love? That and not fix the world or not label something one way or the other. It's just, why did I get triggered by that? Why did this event take me away from the peace that I am moment to moment? What was that? I need to accept it. I need to take it in, sit with it a while, and then I eventually realize I must have identified as a separate self. I'm not who I really am, which is infinite unconditional love. Do I feel infinite unconditional love as a result of my reaction to this experience? Probably not. I have to admit, for me. I'm not saying for anybody else, but for me, I have to admit, that wasn't a very loving thought I had when I judged anybody about anything. My only job is to be the love, period. Moment to moment, regardless of what I say. So that's all.
So what I was going to say, and Richard said it, of course, way better than I would, is I'm sort of sitting in the flow. I'm blissfully off in life, and all of these things that can happen, like the bullying that Libby talked about, is like not in my backyard. These things don't happen in the United States. We're just all good and everything's wonderful. And then, but then when it happens, I go, holy shit! I have a bunch of boulders in my flow, and I need to take a look at them, and I get angry and I get depressed, and I fear them, and I want to pretend they're not there. But the only way I can contribute to those boulders getting out of my flow or dissolving is to send both all the bullies and the bullied, send them all love. In other words, and I understand. I understand. I've been bullied, and I've been a bully. And when I am a bully, it's out of fear. It's bullying to me when I was doing it back when I was 20 and 18 and a teenager is a defense against fear. And I see a lot of fear in our current political leaders, and because they like, oh, I have this great program, and I'm afraid it might not work, and I can't be a hero, and nobody's going to love me because I can't do what I promised. And so so I understand that because I've been there, and I'm there every day, and so I can empathize with them, and I can, but those, I don't know how to get out of this, what I started to saying, but I've learned a lot in the last day or two, and I'm learning a lot today about how how to look at things and and not be afraid of things, but how to love things, and that's that's how what I can contribute to things getting better. So I guess that's how I'll dig myself out of that hole. So thank you for listening again, folks.
Not sure what hole you dug yourself into, but always a joy. Hey, Oddsy.
Hey, I just wanted to add that for me, what I've been noticing a lot of is with my child, that I'm perceiving everything that happens with him through the past of my eyes. So I'm thinking he's me redoing now. And when I caught that, it was so amazing because it just brought me closer to this oneness aspect. And I was like, then I could see myself in so many other people because of this amazing gift of seeing that all I'm doing is being afraid of the mistakes I made. And I can't even have a conversation with my child because he doesn't want to talk because I'm scared and it comes out scary to him. And through just culminating our relationship, he was able to break through to me so that I could see. And the beautiful part too is then just yesterday, I was writing about the Son of God and, how some people write the daughter of God. And my mind was saying that's just further separation, gender, all of that is just further separation. And the Son of God now has come to me as the one of God. There's no son anymore. It's just one of God. And that's how I even read it. I read it today, one of God. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we've been here 61 minutes. Thank you so much for being part of this world. 10 a.m. tomorrow for Training Wheels, 10 a.m. Eastern, and I'm going to turn the recorder off. Here we go.